Oncers, it's Minx, and last night was the season finale of Season 5 of Once Upon a Time, and I'm going to do the review right now, so if you haven't seen it, go watch it before you watch this, because I'm going to probably spoil stuff. I'm going to start off with saying, to me, a whole lot of nothing kind of happened during this episode, which was really disappointing. The episode actually didn't feel like a finale, it felt like a premiere for like season 6 is more of what it felt like to me. I don't know if anybody else out there feels like that, but that's kind of how I felt through the entire thing. Um, I'm just I, I'm so confused by this episode and why it was done the way it was. Why it's the end of season 5 when, to be honest, I feel like some of the I just don't know. I don't know, people. We start the episode with Emma wanting to be delicate in terms of telling Regina that Hook's back. She kind of wants to tell her in private, so if she has a freak out, stuff like that. That gets pretty much ruined by Rumple because he's doing some stupid magic shit, and of course Hook comes running in like, are you okay? Is everyone okay? Like, total overreaction. Come to find out, Rumple has tethered all of the magic in Storybrooke to the shard of the Olympian crystal that he has. Major douchebag moment. And then Emma becomes a hypocrite and is like telling Regina, maybe you should sit this one out. You're not over Robin dying. And it's like, how can you look her in the face and say that to her when you did the exact same thing when you thought Hook was gone? Like, seriously, major hypocrite moment. Henry's fed up. Henry's just like, fuck you both, bitches. I'm out. And he actually manages to talk Violet, his main squeeze from Camelot, into going on an adventure with him to New York under the name of Operation Mixtape. So we finally left the Vipers and animals. We're now into Guardians of the Galaxy territory here. So they go off to New York. Emma apparently is the overprotective mother because she has put a GPS app on his phone, which she didn't think he was smart enough to find that, which he did. He kind of throws them off track while they're going off to find him. In the meantime, while they're gone, while Gold's gone looking for him, while Regina and Emma are gone looking for Henry, all of a sudden this mass of people comes up to David and them and is like, oh my god, is it true? That we might be trapped here, and oh my god, and it's led by Merida, and Zelina is like, alright, fine, we'll open a portal to send you guys home. So we're sending home Merida, we're sending home the people from Camelot, and we're sending home the Merry Men, including little Roland, little Robin's little boy, who, can I say, oh, cute moment? He was freaking adorable, and ended up giving Zelina a feather from one of Robin's arrows to give to her for safekeeping. That was freaking adorable, the little shit. They go through the portal, and then all of a sudden, Zelina can't close it, and they get sucked in. So it's like, oh great, here we go again, another adventure. The only problem is, they're not in the forest like they thought they were going to be. They're actually in a completely different land that they have no knowledge of prior to this moment. So they're there. So shit's happening everywhere. Things are happening in this episode, but they're not really. It's just, so, yeah. It's so ridiculous. Okay, so at first, Regina and Emma think Henry's gone to Boston because that's where the GPS says. Well, apparently he just put his phone on a bus, and they went to New York because, of course, where the hell else are they gonna go? They end up going up to Neil's old apartment, which, okay, and I'm gonna pause here for a second. I gotta know, who the hell is paying New York rent for Neil's apartment? Okay, Neil's dead. He's been dead for what, like 2 seasons? A season and a half? I don't even remember when he died. He died a while ago. Okay? Somebody was still holding on to this apartment somehow. Magically, I don't know, growing. Did he have a money tree? You know, because I'm assuming that, something like that actually works in this realm. Um, you know, Robin and Zelina in disguise lived there for a little bit. Who the hell is paying the rent for this? To live in New York in an apartment that looks as clean and as nice as that one, that's like a couple grand. Like, what the shit? I I want someone to answer me on who's paying for this apartment, because it's obviously not Neil, because he's dead. What the hell? Anyway, some stuff, freaking Emma's on a laptop trying to figure out where the kids have gone from there. And poor Regina finds a book of Robin Hood tales that she had given to Robin, and then ends up finding a really sweet note in there from him, talking about how proud he is of her, that she let love in, and that she is truly a heroine, that she has truly changed. And then she has this really emotional moment with Emma that was really poignant to me, that shows her character development, her character growth over the past few seasons, that she's in a constant war with herself because she let that evil in, she let it consume her in her past, and now she's in that constant battle to keep that squelched, because she doesn't want to lose anybody else in her life that she cares about, which I thought was a really, really good scene for her, and it just puts that extra stamp on her character development that we've watched for the past couple seasons. So that was really good. We go over to Henry. Oh my god, I can talk. Go over to Henry and Violet, and they're in a library in New York, and they pretty much go into what is pretty much the restricted section, a place nobody else ever freaking goes, because supposedly his dad had been researching ways to try and get rid of magic and hadn't found anything, and he was supposed to go there, and blah 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 blah. So, okay, plot device that you guys totally just threw in there, because probably didn't happen. They go in there, they end up finding alternate copies of the storybook that have stories that he's never seen before. And actually, one of them actually on the cover actually literally says Volume 2. So I'm wondering, how many volumes are they going to be working out of? Eventually they will run out of fairy tales. So it's like now we're getting into some interesting stuff. We're getting into some interesting areas. They also find, because Violet has a keen eye and sees this in this cabinet, what I'm going to go ahead and call the anti-grail. Okay, it's like the exact opposite. The Holy Grail was the birth of all magic, is the most magical of things in the world. It, of course, as we know from the beginning of the season, got smelted down and became Excalibur, which became the dagger, the Dark One dagger. Apparently, this is what will end all magic, and it's a black chalice that looks like the Holy Grail. So they kind of tested a little bit. He's like, yeah, this is totally going to work, and puts it in his bag because he doesn't want to do it in the middle of the freaking library, which he might as well have done that, because guess who's waiting outside for him? Grandpa Rumple is waiting for him, knocks his ass out, takes the shard of the cheap ass looking Olympian crystal and absconds with it to some fancy hotel. In the meantime, our other heroes, who got sucked into a land they have no knowledge of, they meet this, like, really nervous gardener guy, and then this asshole with some sort of, freaking ironworks freaking taser of some sort. They get locked up in a cell. They meet this guy named the Warden, and he looks pretty freaking jacked up. Now, the funny thing is, if you're watching it and you're actually paying attention, there's plenty of clues as to kind of where they are. It becomes pretty apparent maybe a quarter of the way into the episodes that this is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. It becomes, you never see him in the same room at the same time. You know, the warden guy is a total jerk face, and he kind of looks like a Hyde type character. But it becomes pretty apparent that the fairy tale we are playing with right now is Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. So, yeah. For me, I feel like Jekyll and Hyde, I hope this pans out next season. Because obviously they're going to be featured characters of some sort. Because if it doesn't work out next season, I'm going to wonder why they didn't do Jekyll and Hyde back in like the first season when they did Frankenstein. Or they should have done Frankenstein now, because I feel like those stories are along the same vein. Because I always felt like the Frankenstein episode in like season 1, I think it was season 1 or season 2, but I'm pretty sure it was season 1. I always felt like that was completely out of place compared to where the rest of the group was and the rest of the stuff. So it'd be different if they mixed this flavor, the steampunk flavored stories throughout the seasons. That'd be one thing, but I don't know. It's throwing me off a little bit. I have to say, when you actually get to see the transformation from Jekyll to Hyde, it's a little lame. It's really lackluster for me, effects-wise. I feel like this last half of the season, they've let the effects, a lot of the special effects, a lot of the props, just look really cheesy and gross. It's like, I wonder if they blew their budget on like the first half of the season or something, because something's not right here. The Olympian crystal looked like a big fake piece of plastic. Like, it looked like a children's toy from Toys R Us, dude. Like, seriously. The transformation is just really, like, it looked bad, like bad 80s stuff. It's just, oh, man. Jekyll ends up taking the sorcerer's wand, the one that Zelina uses, and he fixes it, because like, apparently it broke. Like, it snapped in half when they landed. He fixes it, but then Hyde ends up using it to create a portal, and he steals the bell in a box, aka his leverage over Gold, which of course pisses off Gold, because Gold, while he's up in this swanky hotel, has created like this creepy summoning, and he ends up creating a creepy summoning circle and freaking out the dude who brought his fucking meal. Oh my god, it was creepy. Like, I'm like, wow, they are trying to kind of channel that kind of steampunk horror vibe, aren't they? We end up learning that our heroes are in a place called the Land of Untold Stories, and it really is. Like, if you actually pay attention, you can actually pick out a lot of stuff. I saw the Three Musketeers. I saw what's either going to be leading up to Aladdin or even the Arabian Nights. The was it 1,000 Arabian Nights with Scheherazade. All sorts of big mix of people. I even saw somebody walking around in a tutu. So I was like, that had to have been a fun day on set. Let me tell you. When Rumpel's trying to work his magic with the creepy summoning circle, Henry ends up using the anti-grail and then realizes in a very angsty, very angry way, he throws a hissy fit. He just throws a hissy fit. I'm just gonna call it. He acts like a total little brat. He's like, it's not on me, it's on you. It's all your fault. And then he goes and sits next to this wishing well that was this like not wishing well, stupid. It's like a water fountain that people were throwing coins in for wishes, and it's apparently someplace that's really important to him and Emma. From that time when they didn't have any magic, back in season 4, before they came back and stuff. And just a whole lot more whining, some death glares at Emma. Like, oh my god, I kind of wanted to strangle him a little bit in this episode. Like, I understand that he's frustrated, and he's just frustrated with the whole thing, and he'd rather just be done with the whole thing. But at the same time, it's like, dude, you are the one that has the heart of the true believer. Like, you're part of this. You know, part of that is magic too. Like, you can't just wish it away like that. Stupid. Um, at some point, when we go back to the heroes stuck in the land of untold stories, um, Jekyll manages to finish a serum that he'd been working on that will literally separate him into Jekyll and then Hyde, which ends up happening, and they really don't like each other. There's a lot of, how do I want to say, throughout this and the rest of the last like 20 minutes of the show, there was a lot of hinting at things. Like, Hyde literally looks at Jekyll and says, "Being separate is what is going to destroy you," because he was talking about how, you know, having that inside was gonna, he felt like that side of him was gonna destroy him. He says, well, now us actually being separated, that's what's going to destroy you. There's also a point where we meet the dragon, who we haven't seen since August's time on the show. And he pretty much tells Regina that I will help you, because it is of the utmost paramount thing that you win your battle against your inner self, against the evil queen inside of you, you know, because no pressure or anything. He does some stuff. He ends up pretty much showing them where the others are, using a fake-ass lotus plant. Like a lotus blossom. He like puts it in a bowl of water and spins around and, you know, tries to open a portal, but he's not strong enough. Another thing I want to point out about the dragon, I'm pretty sure that's actually Mushu, because if you actually look at the dude's facial hairs, he's got this weird set of freaking beard, like just randomly coming out from up here and down, and it kind of reminds me of Mushu's little whiskers, so it wouldn't surprise me if that's their rendition of Mushu. He ends up getting taken out later. But they end up going back to the wishing well, or the wishing fountain, and Henry is like, no, we all need to make a wish. We all need to make wishes. And then he goes up and he jumps up on this thing and he starts yelling out at all these New York people, and they're just like, okay, there's a crazy kid up there. And he convinces them all to throw pennies and shit in there into the water. It charges up, you know, the crystal, because Mushu, I'm just gonna call him Mushu from now on, because it just works for me. Until they actually produce a Mushu on the actual show, this is Mushu for me. It starts charging the crystal, providing more magic. Next thing you know, portal opens. Everyone else pops out. What they didn't notice was that gold popped in about the time everyone else popped out. So, that is interesting. So yeah, everyone comes back. Oh, yay, everyone's good. And then Henry gets pissed because he realizes that all these people think it was just some sort of crazy magic act. Because, dude, they're New Yorkers. You know, I don't think they're really going to buy into magic for too long, do you? So, yeah. We're left at the very end with Regina up on the roof of, I think, Granny's. I think it's Granny's. Might be, I can't remember. I can't remember, honestly. But she's on the roof, she's like looking out over the town, you know, just kind of doing her own thing, and Emma and Snow join her, and they're like, you know, you don't have to go through this alone, you know, I get what's happening with you. And they give her a choice, and they have just enough serum left from the Jekyll and Hyde thing to where she can separate herself from the evil queen and then destroy the evil queen. And she actually takes it, and she does the thing, and, you know, she yanks out the Evil Queen's heart and crushes it. But supposedly that doesn't kill the Evil Queen, but I think I know why. So, um, she thinks it's gone. She's feeling good with herself, because who wouldn't? And, they go back to life or whatever. Well, Evil Queen, travels in dust form or something, finds the dragon, aka Mushu, and kills him. Pretty much takes his heart. And that's pretty much the last thing we see, other than Rumpel is making some deal with Hyde, but I don't really care about that right now. Now, my theory, other than the fact we're obviously going to be dipping into these tales from the untold stories, which is fine by me. My only reluctance on that is that I'm hoping it doesn't turn into a Monster of the Week / Fairy Tale of the Week kind of formula for the show. We need that overarching drama that pulls from things, which they didn't really do as effectively this season, I don't feel. But I'm afraid that it's going to become a, of the week formula, and I hope not, because I think that will ruin what makes this show special. The other thing is, they've hinted already, like, they hit it hard, like, in the last 20 minutes, like, several people said certain things, like, Gold even tried telling Regina, I accepted the good and the bad part of me, because they are what makes me who I am. And I feel like next season, I'm going to call it right now, next season it's going to come down to Regina having to retake in or reabsorb her evil self. She's going to have to reconnect herself in order to beat the Evil Queen, in order to subdue her. I think that's what's going to end up having to happen. And if I've already predicted that now, that's going to be really sad. So I hope they actually do something interesting with it. Overall, because to me, there was a lot of stuff I talked about, obviously, because we're at like 20 minutes or so. But it's still not a whole lot of stuff actually happening. I feel like there were some lazy writing choices, like sending the people from Camelot, the Merry Men, and Merida through a portal home was a really lazy way to tie up their loose ends. So I really don't. I feel like that was lazy. The effects have been kind of subpar the last few episodes, and I don't know what the heck's going on there. Between props and effects, it's just not really my cup of tea right now. So, and like I said, I feel like in this episode, it didn't feel like a finale to me. It felt like a premiere. It felt like the first episode of next season, as opposed to, the final episode of this season. So, with that said, I'm going to actually give it a C. I was not as jazzed through this as I was hoping for. I do, our line of the episode happens when Emma and Regina are on the hunt for Henry, and it's when Regina's like, can you find anything in this pigsty? And Emma's like, by the way, it was your idea to go to Hardee's. I just thought that was kind of a funny little throwaway line, but it made me giggle, unlike a lot of stuff in this episode. So, if you like this review and want to hear more reviews of other shows that I enjoy, hit that little red button down there that says subscribe. That helps me out a lot, and it'll let you know when I post my videos. Also, stay tuned, because sometime today I'm going to be putting up my Game of Thrones review. And also, within the next week, sometime next week, I'm going to be doing a kind of my opinion of Season 5 as a whole of Once Upon a Time, and where I think it's going next season, a little more in depth than what I mentioned here tonight. So you want to make sure you catch that. How did you guys feel about the episode? Did you enjoy it? Did you enjoy it more than me? What was your favorite part? Did you not like it? Let me know in the comments below. I try and respond to every comment I see. So with that, later, Oncers.